Hello, everyone. How you guys doing? Welcome to another Clone and Chill Fridays. I hope you're having an awesome week. And type in the chat if you're hearing my voice nice and clear. If you're seeing my image nice and clear as well. If you see my new haircut, because it was unmanageable last week. And I'm glad to be here. So let's get started. I'm gonna be sharing my screen. All right, beautiful. Okay, so most of you know me already. I'm the new community programs manager at WeWeb. My name is Agustin. I'm from Brazil. And we're going to be sitting down and playing around in WeWeb and try and build something nice. So this week, we're going to be building a client portal. That's because we always do an open vote. So we allow you guys to vote what it is that you want to see. And it's going to be a client portal. And it was that between AI content generator or a Pomodoro timer app. Perhaps on the other weeks we'll have time to dwell on these two. But today we're gonna be working in a client portal. Now, it's quite interesting because a client portal is gonna need like the biggest functionality and feature is gonna need to have is roles, right? And blocking pages for certain specific roles, right? So we're gonna have a page that's gonna be available to all users, and then we're gonna have a page that's gonna be only for administrators or perhaps for a specific kind of client. And I'm gonna be showing you guys how we're gonna be able to build that. So I always prepare for these events. So I created some things just so you guys can see what we're gonna achieve. So we're gonna be using a template that's in WeWeb's marketplace in order to create the UI, right? So we start fast, but the part we're gonna be spending more time is inside of our Supabase, which is gonna be the backend, because we're gonna need to create a couple of tables, and we're gonna need to link them with our WeWeb role system, which it lives here in authentication, right? And we're gonna have roles and user groups. So we're gonna be working with admin roles, user roles, and then we're gonna create a specific group where we're gonna be showing a certain page is only available to users that are administrators, and another pages are gonna be blocked, right? So that's what we're gonna be building, and I want to show you how to do it from scratch. And because this part is it takes a lot of troubleshooting, even myself, even following the documentations, which we have a very nice documentation. Some points you kind of have to figure it out on your own, and so that's why we're going to be doing it from scratch. All right, so why don't we go ahead and start by creating a new project. So as I said, we're going to be using a template. So when you create a project, here in the marketplace, we have something that is quite nice, which is this SaaS dashboard, right? Perhaps for this tutorial, we might use this, right? Just for a change of pace. Let me see if we can, if it is a nice use case. Yeah, because we're gonna be blocking certain things. Okay, so it has buttons, it has different pages. Do they work? No, it's just this single page. Okay, maybe not. We're gonna be using this one because it has, you're gonna see. What I want to achieve is this, right? So each page here it opens up a different page, and I want to be able to block that to only administrators as an example. So we will use this one. All right, so let's create a project with the SaaS dashboard template, and let's call it CC, Clone and Chill, customer custom portal. All right, let's create this project. And while we're building that, it's okay, it's copying it, then it's gonna open. Perfect. So he has this template. It has a lot of things that are pre-done for us, because even before starting to think about creating new UI and messing around with that, we need to figure out the roles. All right. In order to do that, we're gonna need to install our authentication and our plugin for Supabase, which is our backend, right? Because we're gonna be using the authentication system from our own backend. And in here, I already have this table, but I want to set up a new project from scratch with you guys. So let's create a new project and let's call it CC Client Portal. All right, let's generate a password and all right. Now we have a new blank project. And in order to have those roles appear here, we're gonna need to link our Supabase first. So it could be here in the button backend, or it can be here in plugins directly, data sources, and then here Supabase, right? We're just gonna add it. Let's connect it. Okay. Troubleshooting in real time, basically. It didn't work. Okay. Okay, let's try this again. Custom connect. Okay, it's loading. Perfect. Authorizing the API access. So we're going to be connecting our database to WeWeb. Perfect. Now we're going to need to link to the project we just created. So the account is connected. Now let's make the configuration for the project. Okay, so it's going to be CC Client Portal. That's the one we created from scratch. Let's click on Continue. Setting it up. All right, and we're not going to have real-time collections. So that's it. Now, the authentication, I need to add it. Supabase. Same thing, the account is connected. Step by step. Okay. Is it stuck? Could be. Let me just click here. Yeah, client portal. Let's continue. So it already linked up automatically with my API key and everything. Now, my roles table, this is an important step. And that's, do you see that we have a specific input for every single ID it wants to link to? So it's asking us for our role table, a name column inside that role table, and then a new table that's called user roles, and then two columns for the role ID and the user ID. And if you just look at this, it can get confused. So that's why our documentation is super important, and it has a nice step-by-step, which is telling us how to create all of those columns and tables inside of Supabase. And all right, back to here. So let's just continue. So we don't have it connected yet. Define redirections. Right now, we're not gonna do that yet, but we're gonna be doing that soon. Perfect. So before we try anything else, let's see if our login and sign up is actually working. So this template, it only had a single page that had a sign in. So we're gonna need to create a new page. Let's call it sign up, right? Let's call it sign up. And since we connected with the Supabase authentication, we have this new tab that's called Supabase Auth with a bunch of pre-made things, right? Like a login page, a reset page, and the ones we're interested in is the sign up, right? So we're gonna be just clicking on it, and now it's all ready, and it carries a workflow with it, right? So this template has the sign up, which is already plugged in with the plugin, and it's gonna be taking the email and the password, and what I'm gonna ask it to do is also redirect, navigate So after a successful sign up, I wanted to navigate to our homepage, right? Perfect. So now let's try and create Agustin at google.com. And then let's just 1, 2, 3, 6, 4, 5, 6. And let's clear this up to see if everything's correct. And let's see if it works. Sign up. It redirected me. Perfect. And another interesting thing I want to do is for troubleshooting is I want to click on this name here, and I'm gonna bind it to my my authorized user. So I'm gonna come here, and as you can see, I am not authenticated, which is weird, right? Because I thought we were. Um, the workflow seemed to have worked, but here, if I come here, that's why I told you that there's a lot of steps that we need to troubleshoot that are not obvious all of the time, right? And in here, we're gonna check if we have users that are being collected. And so far, like it seems that I have a user, right? But if you can see here, last sign in at, it didn't. And here it's saying waiting for verification. So why is that? That is because Supabase by default it's gonna is awaiting for the new member to verify their email, and we need to take that down. So we need to check it off so it's not gonna be messing with our project. So here in authentication we can go to sign ins, auth providers email, and in here you can uncheck confirm email. All right, save. And now we're gonna try and see if it works once again. So in here, let's go back to our sign up page. Preview, once again, Agustin at Microsoft.com. Some Agustin at Google just received an email for authentication. And let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once again, sign up. It's gonna redirect us. And in here, what I wanted to do is grab this text. It had a name here, and I want to bind it to our user. And now we are actually authenticated. And I want to bind it to the email. Why? Because now I can troubleshoot it like, okay, I'm already authenticated, right? And it's easier. Another way you can see if you're authenticated or not is inside the editor. When you go to this little bug here, you can click on variables, and you're gonna see all of the variables that this template has. But the one we're interested in is this one at the bottom, which is coming from the authentication plugin from Supabase, which is telling us, which has an object that's called user. And in here we can already see the user is authenticated, the email they use to log in, the confirmation email, whatever, and a lot of metadata that's super useful for us. And this is another way to see if we are actually authenticated. But I like this one because we can see it in the UI and we can see it in the preview. All right, so first step is done. We already configured our Supabase and we're ready to move forward. Hey, Aravinda. Aravinda, did I pronounce that correct? Welcome, and feel free to comment and participate. So today we're creating a client portal because that's what the community voted for. And the first thing that I did is I created a new Supabase, and I used a pre-made template with a lot of UI things that are already set up. So it's easier for us to connect the important part, which is the roles, meaning administration, users, premium users, whatever roles you want to have in your app. And that's what we're going to build today. All right, so we already linked it with our Supabase and with the authentication, and we're proving that everything's working smoothly. Now it is time to set up the authentication plugin, and now we need to add our 2 new tables that are required to use this feature that's called roles inside of WeWeb. Once again, why do we need to create like this very specific this very specific roles and user roles tables? And remember that it asked us to do that even here in the authorization plugin. Here in the authorization plugin, remember that here is asking us to create a role table, a user role table. The naming needs to be exact because when we go here to authorization and users and roles, and we're gonna be able in here in our own WeWeb UI to apply that role, right? Like here, user roles, it says no role associated. So when I click on it, I have nothing here. And I want to link that directly to our Supabase because this is very powerful, the roles, which we're gonna see in a little while. Soon, actually. All right, so let's get started with the creation of these new tables. Once again, you always need to have your documentation open next to you so you know what you're doing. And the first thing it's telling you to do is to create a roles table. Remember that naming is very important, which this table is going to contain all of the roles that your app is going to have. Like in this case, it's saying customer, rental agent, mechanic, because it seems to be they're building a mechanic app. And in our case, we're going to stick with just admin and customer or user. Let's go with admin and user. So let's create a new table. Again, it needs to be called roles. We're going to enable role security level, which for those of you who don't know Supabase basically means these are the security measures that we create in our database. So people that are not authenticated cannot go inside and read our data and steal our data or anything like that. So it is important to have it on. If you want, you can have it off, but you're gonna need to change it to on while you go to production because it's really unsafe. All right, now let's create the columns. Again, you need to have the specific columns, which are gonna be called ID, name, and created at. The ID and the created at, they are created automatically. As you can see, ID and created at, they're done. Now, one thing that the tutorial, the documentation is asking us is that the ID, it should be of UUID. Let me show you here. Do you see UUID? That means universally unique ID. So when we are creating it now, it just says ID, which is of type int8. We don't want that. We want type UUID. All right, universally unique identifier. And it's gonna have it's gonna generate it randomly for us. All right, perfect. And the last column we want, it was name. Let's check it once again. Name, perfect. And it's gonna be of type text. Name of type text. And I'm not gonna have a default value, and that's it. Let's just create it. So we're building this new table. Perfect, so this table is now created. Inside of here, I want to set up our roles, which remember is gonna be admin and users. Let's just create one that's gonna be called admin, and another one that's gonna be called user. So these are my roles for my app. In your app, you're gonna have several roles and as many roles as you want, basically. And remember that here we have a UUID, which is completely randomly generated, which is what the documentation was asking us to do. Perfect. So step one is done, which was here, to create a roles table. Now, the second step is we're going to need to merge or join the table that's named roles, which is the one that we created, with the table of our logged in users or registered users, which they live here, right? So this is the schema public. So these are our public tables, and Supabase has one that's called auth, right, from authorization on our authentication. We click here, and in here, the final one, the final table is called users. This is where every single user that logins to that signups to our app lives, right? As you can see, Agustin at Google, Agustin at Microsoft, which were the accounts that we were testing with, remember? So they live here. And as you can see, they also have an ID. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a reference to that ID. So we're gonna be linking our new table, and we're gonna tell it, hey guys, do you see the other table that's called users? We're gonna link to that. That's a joint table we're going to be creating. So let's go back to the public one. We have the roles, and now we need to create a new table, which again, we need to have the specific name. It's telling us here that we need to create a new one that's called user roles, which is a joint table. User roles enable role security level, and now we need to set up how many columns? The ID and the created at, as we saw, they're created automatically. But we need to have these two that are going to be linked to two tables. User ID column is gonna, do you see it has like this green link? It means it's a foreign relationship. It means it's linked to another table. It's making a reference to another table. So this user ID column is making a reference to the user table that I just showed you, which is in the authorization. And this role ID is making a reference to the new table we created, which is the roles one. It's gonna become clear in 1 second. So ID created user ID. Let's copy this so we don't make mistakes. User ID, which is going to be of which type? It's gonna be of okay. Before I choose a type, there's a button here that is this link, which is gonna link us to another table, which is exactly what we wanted. So we want to link this column here that's called user ID to our user table. So how do we do that? We click here, and remember that we were in the public schema, the public database, and I want to go to the auth, which I just showed you. And in here, I want to go to the last one, which is called users, which is where all of our users are living. And in here is where I'm going to make a reference from our column that's called user ID, which we just created, and I want to link it to the UUID of our user, right? So now we have it linked. Action if reference row is updated, if reference row is removed. I could leave it like this, but normally I like to put it on cascade, which basically I am telling Supabase that if I have a user that is deleted in any of the tables, it's gonna also delete the reference in the other tables. It's a little bit, it's not necessary to understand it right now, but I'm just gonna click on save. Finally, the last column we're looking at is the role ID. Can I copy it here? No, yeah, role ID, which we're gonna be doing the exact same thing. Add a column, let's call it role ID, and let's connect it to our newly created roles table. Remember the one where we had admin and user? This one is in the public one, and it's here, public roles. And I'm gonna connect it to the column that's called, again, ID, because it's our UUID. Again, cascade, cascade, done. Now, I am almost done. And the last thing that I want to change is this new table, this user role table we're creating. It also requires us to have a UUID here for the first ID. So in here, instead of an int 8, I'm going to change the type to UUID. And that's it. Perfect. And as soon as I save, you're going to see something quite nice. Now this table, I can create a new row. And remember that these two they have the green link here. You're gonna see how it works right now. I'm gonna insert a new row, and let's say, oh, I need to link it manually. Let's leave the explanation for the next step, or perhaps what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I'm gonna leave the explanation before because we need to do one thing before this. So we're following the tutorial for the roles, right? So we created these two tables, roles and user roles. Roles is for us to have every single role in our app, done. User roles is gonna link, is gonna mix this roles table with our user ones, where every single person that has signed up to our app lives. So we have both of these tables done, which is perfect. One step done. So step 3 is done. Now we're gonna be able to set up roles and blocking in WeWeb. Now, so we did this in our database. Now we need to do that linking in our WeWeb app. So let's go back to WeWeb. And now we can go back to here to auth, and sorry, in plugins and Supabase auth. And here we can go back and link. Remember, I've been showing you this since the beginning. Now we can choose our newly created roles table. Let's refresh it. And now we have the roles table. Roles table, roles. And in here is telling us where is the name column. The name column, we named it name. So easy. User roles table, we created that as well. Remember, user roles, role ID column, it's going to be called role ID. User ID column is going to be called user ID. Then continue. Now it's linking it. And we are done. Now what we can do is, let's say that Agustin.Microsoft is an administrator, and I want to go here to user roles, and I am able to basically give it a role. Let's say Agustin is an administrator. I'm going to save. And Agustin at Google is just a regular user. I'm going to save. Now, whatever I did here, it should go back and be done in here, which it might not, because there's another troubleshooting that we didn't. Oh, it actually worked. Perfect. And as you can see, it created two new roles. And in here, you can see that I have a user that has this name, this ID, that has this specific role. Which user? I can see the reference here. This is the user that's called Agustin at Google, has the role user, and Agustin at Microsoft has the role administrator, admin. All right, so far so good. So we created two new tables. We were able to link it with the functionality inside of WeWeb that allows us to create roles. And now we have the possibility of linking manually, so far, to giving a user a specific role. And that's quite useful for blocking certain pages, blocking certain functionalities, because I want an app that the admin section should only be accessible by our admins, right? And this is one way to do it with the front end, that we can do it directly in WeWeb. So it's very powerful. Gorgeous. So now that that is done, I want to set up the roles and the blocking in WeWeb. Now that we have users and roles set up directly here, we are able to see, we can see our roles names, admin and user. And now here I can create a user group. Now this user group, when we click on create, I'm going to give you the name as an example as admin group. So which roles are going to be inside this group? I want only administrators to be inside this group. So I created a group that's gonna allow only administrators to do certain things. So why is this useful? Because I can come here and let's say that I want this the page that's called settings, right, to be accessible only for administrators. So how do I do that? I go here into our settings. I click on this cog, because this is the settings page, right? This is the page that's going to be showing if I click on settings. So let's go back to, I don't know, locations, and then back to settings. This is the page I want to block just for administrators. I'm going here to the cog in settings and private access. Define who can access this page. And I don't want everybody to access this. I want it only authenticated users who belong to the administrative group. All right, so I'm gonna save this. Now the thing is, we're not able to see this working in our editor. We're gonna need to publish our app in order to do that. And I'm gonna show you that in 1 second. Before we do that, I want to copy this and I want to add it a new column, a new text, where, let me just check if everything is working. Okay, it's not. So remember that we had here a plugin that's giving us the entire object of who is authenticated in our app, right? That's where I pull the email, right? So I can see, I can showcase the email of the person who's authenticated. I should also be able to show this array here that's called roles, right? User and admin. And I was breaking my head and I was trying to understand why this didn't work every time. And because in here it should say admin or user, and it's not saying that. And I came down to the conclusion, I even wrote it down here, that it was an issue with setting. Remember I told you to set up RLS and Supabase on every table, but I have to set it up and we need to configure it. Okay, so here in roles, we have a button here that's called Add RLS Policy. So what it's saying in the tooltip here is that RLS is enabled for this table, but there are no policies, right? So basically, I created a table and I said, make it very secure, but I didn't give it an order to who should I allow, who I shouldn't allow. So that's why I'm not able to fetch the information from inside of here. So let's click here on Add RLS Policy. Let's create a policy, and I want to say that I want to enable read access for every single user. That means that every user, everyone can read what's in this table. That's just a first rule, so we're able to start playing with this. I'm going to save the policy. I'm going to do the same thing for our user roles, right? Add RLS policy, create policy, enable read, save policy. So now both of our tables, I created a rule to make it secure, and then I created a policy that says everyone can access it right now, for now. And now let's try and see if it works. And in here, as you can see, rows array, it already has the information I wanted. As you can see, it has an object with my role, which is in this case admin. So that's useful because I wanted to create here a new text in order to debug it. So I created this new line, and in here text, I wanted to link it to this role, so it shows the role. Roles. Oh, sorry. Here. So now we're able to see who is logged in and which role that person has. Once again, super useful for debugging. And beautiful. Now I'm gonna need to publish this app, right, to this WeWeb subdomain, because all of this blocking, it only happens outside of the editor. So here, even if I was logged in as a user, there was user, I would still be able to access all of the blocked pages, right? That's just because of the way WeWeb works, and on the editor, we want to be able to access every single page. So this is only going to work in our exported project. Now, while it's doing that, let's make sure that we have everything set up. So we have a sign up page, and we have a login page, right? Let me just drink some water. How's everyone doing? All good? All right. Let me see if it, yeah, here, and I can click on this link here, and it's gonna show me the app I'm working on, right? So right now I need to log in. Let me try and see if I remember the authenticated users. It was Agustin.micro at Microsoft. He was, I think he was oh, Agustin at Google can't even log in because he's expecting for a verification. Anyway, so what I'm gonna do is Agustin at Microsoft. Okay. Agustin at Microsoft. .com 1 2 3 4 5 6. Now let's see. Actually, I think the sign-in page, I never set it up. Yeah, I never set it up. Nothing's gonna happen if I click here. It's yeah, it's not showing that I'm logged in because it's just redirecting me. Remember that we were working the sign up page, but in the login page, we actually never did. So if I click here, let's just call it login so I don't get confused. On login page, the only thing it's doing is navigating. It's not actually logging me in. So what I want to do is create an action for our database, which is going to be insert. And what I want to do is, which table I want to insert? Oh, actually, it's going to need, I think I'm going to need the plugin. Let me see. Database. It's not database. It's actually sign in, sign up, sign out, sign in, email and password. Yeah. Let's just push this down. Email and password. Let me just fill this up so it's easier. Email value dot blah, 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 microsoft.com, and then password gonna be called password. I'm just filling those so it's easier for me to see here like the value, and it's easier for me to catch it. What do you mean? Okay, like this. I'm working in this workflow, and in here, when I want to grab the email, it's easier for me to see where it is. Basically, remember that I just wrote email value, so it's easier to see here that this is the one I want to grab, and the password is here. Password input, value, password. Perfect. I don't have a captcha token, so that's going to be able to sign us up. And then if we succeed, we're going to navigate to our home page. Let's see if this flow is working. Agustin at microsoft.com. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sign in. Let's see. And then here you can see Agustin at Microsoft. So it seems to be working perfectly. And now I need to redeploy basically. Publish once again. This is the publish number 2. In here you should write more descriptive things, as in why did I have to publish the site again. And it's quite useful when you are gonna see that on Friday Agustin published the site again. What happened? Why did he change it? So you should write stuff. You should write more than I did. All right, so now we have the login page, the sign up page. We have the roles. And if everything worked out perfectly, which it should be working. Okay, let's go back here. Let's refresh this page. So no one is logged in as expected. And I want to go to my login page, right? Oh, it's not called login. What is it called then? It was called sign in, right? No, what is the name of this page? URL path? It's a underscore. Okay. So it's log underscore in. Yeah, okay. Now let's try agustin.microsoft.com 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we sign in. Perfect. Now you can see Agustin, I am an admin. So in theory, I should not be blocked from accessing the settings. Remember, because the settings was the one page that we actually block. That's why we have this lock pad here, this icon, you see? And in here, you can see that it's private access, only authenticated users that are belonging to the admin group. So in here, I should be able to access it. Let's see other pages. If I click on locations, yeah, I travel to locations. If I go to users, I go to users. And if I click on settings, I should go to settings. Yeah, perfect. Now, what we need to test is if an user and not an admin, what happens, right? So for that to happen, before anything else, we need to sign up. What was the link for the sign up page? Sign up. Okay. So let's go here. Sign up. And let's call this user at microsoft.com. Whatever. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're signing up. Let's see if this works correctly. It doesn't seem to be working. User at microsoft.com. Okay, it's not signing up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe it's the. Let's go back to our sign up page and troubleshoot. Why it's not working? Let's see my flow. Email password. Navigate to. Okay. I think inside of here it's working. Let's try this. User at microsoft.com. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Let's clear my logs and see what is happening. Sign up. Okay, so it didn't work here in my live app for whatever reason, but in here it did work. We're gonna need to troubleshoot that soon. So here, once again, I am user.microsoft, and you can see that I don't have a role attributed to it, right? Like, am I a user? Am I an admin? That's because we didn't tell our app to do that, right? We were doing it by hand. So let's do that by hand. And let's go here in auth users, user at Microsoft. This is the one we were playing with. User role. Let's give it a role. Let's give it a user role, right? Because we were testing the blocking of the pages. So now this user is not an admin. Okay, so let's try this here. And let's go to the login page. So it is user at Microsoft.com. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I am logging in my public app. Yes, perfect. So it works. So we can see that I am logged in with the role user. So I should be able to, like, okay, I'm gonna click on locations, all good. I'm gonna click on users, all good. But theoretically, if I click on settings, I shouldn't be able to see this page. Perfect. Nothing happens. I can't click it. I can't access it. So why don't we do another step, which basically is, if someone tries to access this page and you don't have the role of user, of admin, I want to redirect you, right? So that's why in here in plugins and Supabase auth, we have a tab that's called define redirections. So page to redirects on unauthenticated access, right? So if you're not signed in, and if you try to access this page, I'm gonna send you to log in. And if you don't have a matching role, basically if you're a user and you're trying to access an admin page, I'm gonna send you to home. Okay, beautiful. Now it's not gonna work here because I need to re-upload our app. So while we do that, let's publish. Yeah, let's publish to this domain. And as I told you, it's a good practice to say, like, okay, and here I'm gonna say added redirection to unauthorized users, right? It's like a comment for my future me or anyone else on the team to know exactly what I did between one release and the other. Okay, and while that is happening, one flow that we didn't add is, like, so far we're adding our roles manually, and that's obviously not good. So what I want to do is, in my signup page, what I want to add, let's add a toggle. Toggle in here below the sign up, and let's add a text next to it. So I'm gonna grab this and let's call it admin, and let's join both of them together with Command G or Control G, and now they're inside a div, a flexbox div. I'm gonna make this flexbox horizontal, and I'm gonna give it a column gap of 20, 15, 14 actually. Perfect. And the text should go above the toggle, right? So we're creating an admin toggle. Hey, Roberto, how you doing? Nice seeing you here. Yes, it is Friday. The speed of time, it's relentless. So we're building, we're doing roles. I'm teaching everyone how to do roles with Supabase, at least the way I learned, and trying to to fix a lot of things that happens while you're trying to troubleshoot this. You gotta keep learning, guys. Keep learning. All right. So what we just did here is I wanted to create a toggle. Why? Because I want to give the ability to subscribe someone to our app and give it the role of admin or user, and Obviously, if you have a production app, the way you're gonna give out roles is gonna be way more convoluted and have more steps than what I am doing here. But this is just for testing purposes, basically. So what I want to do is, let's call this toggle. Yeah, roles are notoriously hard. Thankfully, we have a beautiful authentication step by step in our documentation, which is basically what I followed in order to learn. And if you do that, if you follow this and you pay attention to your table's RLS policies, you're good to go, basically. So you're gonna break your head if you don't have an auth policy, basically. But once you have both of those steps, it just works. Well, it doesn't just work, but okay. Back to this toggle. Let's call this toggle admin toggle, of course, right? Now, this admin toggle is going to allow us to give a role. And in here, in our sign up page, what I want to do is, okay, so first, the person is going to sign up normally. We need this step. And when this person signs up, Supabase is going to return to us that, yes, this user is signed up and this is her or his ID. And we're going to grab that ID in order to create a new role in this table that's called user roles. Now, we don't have access to this table user roles right now. So what we need to do is, if I'm not mistaken, we need to fetch it, because so far we don't have any collections like at all. I think that's what I did in my in the test project. And yeah, users roles, basically I'm fetching, I think I was fetching every single role or only the user ID. Oh, I have no filter. Oh, I do. Yeah, where user ID is okay. Did I need to do that? Actually, I'm just thinking out loud, guys. It's good for troubleshooting. So what I'm doing in my other project, which I did a test project before I was here, I created a user role, and I needed to do that in order to have my admin button login. Sorry, login, no, sign up. Okay, so I created this flow here, sign up, where I signed up first, as I told you, in order to have the return value of our ID. I asked it, is the toggle for admin on or off? And then I inserted, oh, actually, yeah, I don't need that. Just forget what I said. Just reset your mind, guys. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly the conclusion I arrived. If you're using WeWeb built-in roles, the roles should be in the user object. Yeah, you're right. Perfect. So sign up. I'm going to do a if, a true and false split that's going to take into consideration if our input in our toggle, right? Remember, toggle. If it is true or false, let's call it is admin. If that person is an admin, I am going to update, or actually insert. Yeah, I'm going to insert. What am I going to do? I need to insert a new row into the user roles. Remember, just refreshing your mind, user roles, the only existence of this table is to merge our users with our roles. Better said than merge is join. It's going to join our users with our roles. And we need to do that. I mean, one option is to do it manually. Of course, you can ask Supabase to do it on your backend, but right now I'm teaching you how to do it manually. And so after I sign up and I create a new user with Supabase, I'm gonna grab that information and bring it back here. So once again, user roles, I'm gonna create a new role. Which fields do I want to use? I want to use user ID and role ID. Those are the only ones I want. So which user? Who is this person? So which column here? Which user ID? That's why we created this one. So we can fetch the information as a return and feed it through here. Oh, so Roberto's already telling us that we should not do this. Anyone can insert themselves as an admin if you do this on the front end. Oh no, yeah, of course. I mean, administration. If you want to give a role for admins, you're gonna have to do it on the back end and set up a more complex way. What I am teaching here is basically the the logic, right? So what needs to happen after step 1, step 2, step 3, right? So step 1 is you need to create a new user. Step 2 is you're gonna somehow give that user a role, right? And in this case, we're just playing around with the toggle and with the admin status. And I want to give that new guy that just arrived in our app the admin role. And the way to do that here in the front end is to here. Okay, let's give it the role admin, which of course it's not going to be like that. It's just for me. Here's going to be new user. Now we need to transform this into data that Supabase is going to understand. How do we do that? First, the user ID. Let's focus on one thing at a time. The user ID is going to come here from the sign up. And let's just sign up just as a test. Test at gmail.com, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to go to here, preview. Once again, sign up. Here in sign up, I'm going to test this step. Let's see if it works. Okay, perfect. It worked. It created a user. Now we are here in we have a new user. That's called test. Perfect. Now we can grab that information in here. Let's click here. And we are able to grab it from our action 1. Result, user ID. Now we have the specific ID of the user that we created. 3FAB, 3FAB, all right? Now, which role do I want to give this person? And I want to give the role of, if it is on, I want to give it the role of admin. So I'm going to come here into roles and admin. I'm going to copy this and put it here. Nice. Now I'm going to duplicate this, put it here, and if it is false, okay, if it is false, I want to give it the other role, which is this one, the role of user. Okay. That way, just walking you step by step through the logic, we sign up, we grab the information from the newly signed up user, and we give it a role of administrator or just regular user, basically. And we do that by inserting a new row into this table that we created, which is called user roles. That is just a very primitive way of doing it for showcasing what the logic behind it. So Roberto is saying, the easiest way I saw people doing this is make the people sign up as base users, yeah, normal users, and then only add the admin role from an existing admin account, unless one wants something more complex. Yeah, of course. And there is a way, as an example, inside of Supabase, which I'm not very knowledgeable on how to do this, but there is certain logic that you can create inside of Supabase, which basically means you tell Supabase, whenever a new user is created, please create a new role, a new row, right? A new row in this table automatically, and give this person the role of regular user, right? And but the way we're doing it, which is we're doing it manually in the front end, right? Which of course it opens up the possibility for some sort of attacks. But if the only thing we're doing is giving it the role of user, maybe it's not that unsecure, like Roberto said, right? Obviously, you should never give someone the possibility to become an administrator in the front end. This is just for regular testing. And what we're gonna do is, of course, test this. Let's call this user2 at gmail.com. Beautiful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's clear this, and here right now, do I want it to be an admin? No, I want it to be a regular user. Sign up. Did I forget to redirect? Or actually, better yet, probably something happened and we need to troubleshoot. Yeah, okay. So it traveled here, right? It's an admin, it's false. And it did not insert. And I know exactly why. Once again, this has to do with the fact of RLS. We are trying to make our database secure, and we forgot to tell it that for user roles, I want to be able to write here. And we need to come here to auth policy. And the only rule we have so far is I'm giving everyone the possibility to read this table. But I also need to create a policy that authenticated users should be able to write in this table, right? So I just click here. This is a template. I don't want to delve too deep into this, but basically we're telling Supabase that please allow authenticated users to write to this table. Because as you remember, we're trying to create a new row here. And we try this again. Let's call it user 3. Let's clear this, sign up. Now we're redirecting, which means it went. Now here we can say, remember that I created a debugging text. I am logged in as user 3. I have the role of user, and now it works. We signed up and we gave it the role of user. Let's try this again. Let's log out and try this again with the admin. This person is going to be called admin at google.com 1 2 3 4 5 6, and I want to give it the admin role. Let's clear this so it's easier to see and sign up. Perfect. It has the role of admin. So now we created a login and a sign up flow where we can give people the roles, right? Because before doing that, we had to come here and do it manually, right? Like user Microsoft, I need to change its role, whatever. So as you can see, admin at Google is an admin, user 3 is a user. So it's working. Once again, when you're building all of this, please pay attention to the RLS, to the authorization policies. These are the main culprits. When something weird happens and it's not writing or reading, you need to focus on this. Nice. So let's deploy this. Once again, you should write stuff here for your future self. But we're making progress. And I told you the roles was complicated, and but once you understand the documentation here and you figure out the RLS, it moves forward faster, basically. Perfect. So we're building it, so we're gonna be able to test what we built live. Now, since we're here, I want to start showing another ways that you can use roles. Because what we did so far, the only thing we had is blocking a single page, right? Which is, it depends on who you are. Like, okay, user Microsoft, he can't click on the settings. Remember that we set up redirect? So as soon as I click this, it should redirect me. Yeah, it redirects me home. That's why it lagged. So let's log out. And admin at who? Who are my users? I made so many users, I don't remember who's an admin. Admin at Google. He's an admin, I remember. And then sign in. He's an admin, so he should be able to go to the settings page. Yeah, all right. Beautiful. So we have roles set up in a page level. So for those of you arriving now, what we had to do is come here into auth, roles, and create a role user group, which we called admin group. and we put inside only administrators roles inside of this group. And then we came to all of the pages that we wanted to block. In this case, the settings one. I click here, and then I go to private access, and basically we told it that we only want authenticated users that have the admin, that are inside the admin group. So that's how you block a page. But what if I want to show some conditional things, right? Let's say that in this page, I want to show the top part for everyone, but the bottom part should only appear for those who are worthy, only for the administrators. And okay, the way to do that is, okay, so we have the content and we're working with 2 columns, right? And I want to display the bottom column only to those who are worthy, only of those who are admin. So here we have a display block, and let's create a formula for it, which basically is going to say if that person has the role admin, show block. If it doesn't, show none, basically. So I think I have that. Let's try and figure it out. So if you don't know formulas, we have them right here, written here, which is beautiful because it explains. So if condition, value 1, if not, value 2. So if my logged in user role is equal to admin, I want to show a block. If not, I want, sorry, it's not, I think it's not block with a B, it's block. Yeah. If not, none. This way, if I am logged in as a regular user, the second part shouldn't show. Yeah, like Robert's saying, I think conditional rendering is better for this. This way people can't unhide it from the front end. What I mean, conditional rendering, I mean, like conditional fetching, probably, right? Yeah, not easy. None of this is easy, but it's just step 1, step 2, step 3. But let's try this. This is just to showcase the idea, right? The concept behind everything. So we are in preview. So this is an administrator, so he can watch everything. But if it is just a simple user, which once again, I need to remember who are my users. User, this user 3, he's just a regular user. And I'm gonna log in. Let's see if it works. Yeah, can you see, guys? This part here is not, it doesn't exist. Where is it? Basically, it was hidden, right? But obviously, as Roberto is saying, you can unhide this, right? You can come here and with right click, inspect, and click on, we should be able actually to do that. Maybe not here in the editor, but yeah, I think in the editors it doesn't exist. But when you publish it, you're able to hide it or unhide things, right? Like here, I can say none, and it hides it, or I can say block and it shows it. So this is just for testing purposes. So what he's saying basically, there's an option in settings. If you go to the settings tab of an element and scroll all the way down, yeah. Conditional rendering doesn't even show up the element in the code of the page, while display still loads the element, but hide it with a style. Oh, okay, no, you're right. We're being silly. Basically, what Roberto is saying, remember that in here, I'm just trying to hide something as a condition. If you're an administrator, you see it. If you're a regular user, you don't see it. But the way I did it is not optimal for a very specific reason. I'm going to show you. Where am I? Okay, here. Column 1. Okay, this column here. Remember that I inserted this formula. Let's just unbind this. This display block, it seems to us that it's hiding something, right? Oh, it's hiding it. But basically, display none, the element still exists in the web page, and we're just telling the CSS to not render it, but it still exists there. And what he's saying is that we should use, sorry, I am the other one that's called, where is it? I thought it was here. Display. Conditional. Oh, it's in the settings. You're right. Sorry. Conditional rendering. For us, it's going to look like it's doing the same thing, right? So condition off and on. See? It's going to hide it. But the difference is that this hiding can't be seen from the front end. It can't be seen by someone right-clicking and trying to mess with our website. So basically, in here, if we paste the formula, it's not even none on block, right? It's just going to be, it already is a condition. So it's going to be seen if I am an admin. So right now, since I am a regular user, it's hidden. But if I become, okay, now I'm changing the formula. I only show it true if I am a regular user, and only show true if I am an admin, which was what we were trying to do from the first place. All right. I hope that's clear. Roberto explained it quite well. I'm just going to pin it up again for everyone to see. Like conditional rendering doesn't show up the elements, while display still loads the element but hides it with a CSS. Nice. So guys, yeah, Roberto's saying that you can see this very well with charts because they get unloaded with the rendering. So they have to reinitiate, hence the animation plays again. The CSS doesn't play the animation, I think. Oh, we can try that. Yeah, I see that it kept like blinking, like restarting. But what do you mean with that? I understand that you're trying to say that reinitiate, but when do they do that? Like with the first, with the this, sorry, unbind. Oh, okay. What you mean? Okay, so what you're saying is like, if I click on conditional rendering, it means that they need to reload. So that's why they're starting the animation once again. And let's see if they do the same with display. Display block or none? None block. Yeah, you're right. They don't restart. They just appear. It's like a children's play. We're like, I'm here, I'm not here, I'm here, I'm not here. Basically, that's what we're doing with the display. While with the conditional rendering, it's way more sophisticated. Awesome. Learning things every day. So guys, is everything clear about this entire process on how to create roles and how to give roles to someone, how to block a certain page for a specific role, and how to do conditional rendering for certain roles? And once again, the complicated part was just this one, and making sure you have the necessary authorization to work with this table. But other than that, the fact that we have it, that we can do a lot of things here in the front end, is very useful because you can see all of your users, you can see all of the roles we have, we can do specific blocks, and I'm quite happy with that. So do you guys want me to show something very specific? Because I'm quite happy, because this was a very dense it was almost a master class with the roles. Yeah, Roberto is going on with keeps there's a great case for both, right? For conditional rendering and display. Usually you don't want to conditionally render and unrender often complex components, because browser has to re-render them, which is very intense sometimes. Yeah, you can see that if our form needed to like restart, can you imagine if you had to do that with a very big table that needed to probably refetch? I don't know. Yeah, like you're saying an example, like a model with a ton of complex data and layout makes more sense to just use CSS display. Yeah, no, for sure. All right, guys. It was fun. I mean, not as fun as creating other stuff, but it's very important because after you go through this masterclass that I just gave about roles, you're gonna be way more confident to propose projects to your clients, right? Because most apps nowadays they need to have that administrator part on the back end that only certain people should be able to access. And from now on, you can even create administrative pages for your SaaS. So it could mean that you can have a hidden, like a hidden button that can only be clicked by people who are logged in are admins, and you can create administrators by hand, like here or in Supabase, right here. And so it's only going to be you as an administrator, and you can see a lot of data in here in the front end, right? And you don't need to do a lot. You just need to create those roles, create these two tables here, and now you have an app that you can present to all of your users, and you have like that one hidden page that is a master page where you have all of the information, how many users there are, and that's super useful in my view. And I'm out of water, talking a lot today. So I think today we're gonna be cutting it shortly here. I'm gonna end it here, and because we did what we proposed, right? Which is creating our client portal with roles and blocking pages for a specific role. I'm quite happy about it. What do you guys think? Any feedback? Do you feel ready to do this? Obviously, Roberto, you're way advanced, but sometimes it's good to have a refresher, right? Yeah. Admin, user. Oh, quite happy about this. Roberto, WeWeb hackathon. When? Ooh la la. Nice question. We don't know. Whenever you guys want it. We can do a weekly challenge, some things like that. These events that I'm running, they're a first step towards interacting more with the community, to see what sticks, to see what you guys like. And a hackathon, I mean, it is in our to-do list, basically. It's just a matter of when and how. But we're moving forward with a lot of cool projects for you guys and for us. Basically, we want to have a good time. We want to increase visibility for WeWeb, and we also want you guys to be seen. Basically, that's very important for us, and for all of those of you who are doing good for WeWeb and helping others. We are coming up with our ambassador program, and that's going to be quite cool. So stay tuned for more information about that in the future, guys. And so that's it, guys. Thank you so much for coming today to this masterclass of building a client portal with roles. We didn't do a lot of UI work today because we needed to have the foundation to work with roles, which is a little bit more cumbersome. But I'm happy. I hope you guys are happy, and hopefully I'll see you on next Fridays. And for all of those of you who are Brazilians or speak Portuguese, I am running office hours every Wednesday, 1 hour before this time zone. My head is a mess about time zones, but 1 hour before. And I'll be happy to answer all of your doubts and questions on Wednesday in Portuguese. All right? Guys, thank you so much for coming, and keep dreaming, keep developing, and I hope to see you on